Hi everybody, Sandra Duran Wilson here, and welcome to Mixed Media Soul Sparks. Every week I bring you mixed media techniques, inspirational exercises, and studio tips. This week I'm going to be sharing with you some really interesting ways to work with design. This could be in your sketchbook. I call them lookbooks. I even wrote an article for a magazine on how to create these lookbooks. So if you take a look into some of my inspiration books, you're going to find pieces of magazines taped together, lots of writing, very few sketches. So I want to share with you how I go about this process. And I use magazines. Now, I happen to have this one design magazine, and you say, well, I don't get magazines. There's this great resource called libraries, and you can go and they have free magazines there and just grab a few. It doesn't really matter what kind they are. Because I flip through these things, and even like here, I start to pull out pages. And at that point, I'm not even looking at shapes or how I may cut them up, but just pulling out things that have interest to me. And I've gone through that and done that a lot and pulled some out. So let me show you what I've already pulled out. You see, I've got a lot. I like to do this. Once I get to this point, I just take my scissors and I can just cut out as large, small shapes, whatever, and I just start to get all of these pieces. Then I kind of group my pieces. Sometimes I'll group them in colors. Sometimes I'll group them in shapes. This one was a piece I cut out of the whole magazine. It has this interesting tile shape. But look what happens if you take it and you cut just a small section of it to where you don't read what the image is. You just read what the, well, let me find a white piece of paper here. You just start to read these textures and colors. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we're going to put together. It's like grab your scissors, grab your glue stick, your sketchbook, or a few pieces of paper. Now here's one that I made. And you can see here that I've taken different designs. This was like a window shot, cut it up because I've got these lines going here. And this piece is all about different lines, whether they're verticals, whether they're straight, even lines using color, lines of shape. So this one is all about lines and these particular colors. This one is again about lines, but it's slightly different. It's got a variation of line. So when you're working with design, you want to have something that's similar, yet has a different scale to it. So here we have a very narrow line, and this is like a wide line. Here, this is kind of a movement of line, and this is more natural line. Now we start to get into circles. So I'm working with different elements that are going to come together in a design. Here, it's very small. You can see it there. It's like little squares and triangles, working off all of these different design elements. Now, when I go to use this for my painting inspiration, and I'll show you this on a couple of them, this is what I like to do, is I take some mat board, and I can come in here, and I can say, oh, what if I crop it into here? What if I crop it over into here? If I work with a square or a rectangle, or really come in with a very odd shape. These are all possibilities. And, just a few pages, I might get inspiration for 4 different paintings. Because I might say, oh, I like how these patterns are working here. And then I'll sketch out, work with the colors, and as I do the painting, it'll evolve and change. But these are just great ways to inspire you for your next painting. Here's just another quick example. I can bring in this start to look at these lines. A lot of, again, circles, squares, lines, but yet here, this one has texture. So we've got elements of nature, wood, weavings, different things. And so I might even use that to inspire the textures. So it doesn't just have to be, I'm making this image, this design, and I'm going to copy it. It's what this inspires in your painting. So perhaps you'll add some weaving into your painting, or perhaps you'll go out in nature and find some pieces of wood that you'll add. So it's about ideas to inspire you, not only with design shapes, but with texture. This one I found was really fun when I started to play around with the cropping it, because here I'm looking at, let me get this one kind of out of the way. Okay, now we can see it. I'm looking at these different edges here. So when you start to work with cropping this, begin to see the difference that feels when it goes all the way through as opposed to that edge. That gives you a really different feeling. And so this is, begin to understand what shapes and edges especially do to the emotion you want to convey. How does someone enter that painting and interact with it? Maybe it even gets something smaller like this. It gets very different. I'm going to play with this one and show you how I put these together. Now here's kind of a long one. And I kept these shapes pretty large because I wanted to show you where they come from. And you know, here's just an ad, and I had even cut out a shape here. And I liked how this part came. I could cut that off or not, because I'm going to actually put something on top of it. The one thing I want you to pay attention to when you're cutting these shapes out of magazines and you flip the page, and you're going to see what's on that page with the opening to what's on that back page. And that's going to give you some really good ideas of like, oh, look at how those two things interact. You know, you might see something like that. And here I just grab my glue stick, and now in my sketchbook I usually just use tape. I can just come with this piece here, and now I'm looking at the tension between these two areas. It's between the two blues. And these weren't even from the same page. Just stick that on there so it stays. I mean, this was a completely different page of the magazine. And this, again, was cut out from, I think it was some plates, you know, design plates. Now, if I put it here, I have a different edge there than if I put it up here or if I put it here. So I'm going to try it there. And you can move these things around and begin to get a sense of the feeling of how is this going to play out. Move it around. It's like collage. You play with things until you get a sense of where they may go. That's kind of fun like that. And maybe that one comes over there. So you get the idea. So go grab some magazines, get a glue stick, some scissors, make yourself a cup of tea and flip through some magazines, find some designs, and you're going to be amazed at the inspiration you can come up with just by doing this, and really start to pay attention to colors, shapes, the negative space, the textures, and come in and crop in something. And look at what happens if I throw something like that in. It really changes the feeling of the piece. It becomes more, I don't know, playful in some ways. So you're going to make some notes. You're going to discover some things about your preferences, and this is going to help you going forward and creating your art. So I think you're going to find this very helpful. And thanks for joining me this week. And as always, I'd love to see your comments in the comment section, and like and share the video. And please go to the website to see the upcoming classes. If you like a lot of the ideas that I'm sharing, you can find how to use these in your artwork in completed ways from start to finish in the online classes. So please have a look. Thanks, Sandra. Join the community and share your creations on social. Use the hashtag #MixedMediaSoulSparks. I look forward to seeing your comments in the comment section.